So I'm here today to introduce to you two people that are very well known in Chennai, and I'm going to do that very quickly. But before that, I want to add one more point which somebody asked me. Is it possible for anyone to follow their bliss when things are not going their way? And I think I must answer that question. What happens when you are happiest is you are in a zone of inner peace. Everything might be broken around you, it's possible, but you are totally immersed in doing what you love doing. So is it possible to be happy when the circumstances around you are not conducive to happiness? When materially you're challenged, career-wise you're challenged, relationship-wise you're challenged, is it possible to be happy? And I will always say, yes, totally you can be happy, because the way I look at happiness, the way Vani looks at happiness, is to be non-worrying, to be non-frustrated, and non-suffering. That's how we define happiness. And so, in our own small way, we're trying to make this world better. So I told the gentleman who asked me this question, I said, come, be alive with me. There is a difference between being alive and earning a living. And I'm not able to earn a living, but I'm totally alive. And this is my greatest joy. This is my ability to be able to do this with all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let me now get on to introducing the two Pradeeps. So here are my guests today who have and need no introduction. But I'm still going to talk a little bit about how I know them and what I know of them. And for reasons of simplicity, I'm going to call Pradeep John PJ, and I'm going to call Pradeep Chakravarthy Pradeep. Okay? So for the rest of this evening, it's PJ and Pradeep. So don't get confused as we discuss and discover the tale of the two Pradeeps. Okay? Now, who doesn't know Tamil Nadu weatherman, right? And I'm sure many of you here are here only to listen to his story of what makes him love rain so much. I have a cousin of mine who said she heard the word pluviophile for the first time through the promotion for this program. And here is a man who loves rains. He's a computer engineer by qualification, an MBA in finance, right? And also for a living, he works in a quasi-government firm which does urban infrastructure planning. And yet he immerses himself in giving us weather updates, and there doesn't seem to be any logical reason for him to do it, because he doesn't get any material benefits out of it, but he does it because he just loves it. And that's a bliss catcher for you, ladies and gentlemen, PJ Pradeep John. My next guest, Pradeep Chakravarthy, he is to me the poster boy of Chennai and Tamil Nadu. But poster boy for the right reasons, okay? He talks heritage, he talks history, he talks temples, he talks art, he talks culture. But if you look at him, his career could have been elsewhere too, because he's completely qualified to be in the zone of leadership development, HR, and in that space. He's in fact worked with Cognizant, he's worked with Infosys, and he has worked with McKinsey. To have given up all that and to pursue his bliss of bringing you and people of, not just of Tamil Nadu, but of people from all over the world, bring you curated programs, whether it is his talks, his trails, his collaborative efforts with artists and other professionals, all of that, he does it purely from a sense of joy. And so I'm very happy today that Pradeep is with us. So thank you, Pradeep, for joining us. And I now request both of you gentlemen to join me here and we'll continue with the program. So now you people can be more comfortable. Some seats are free. I let them decide center stage because I was going to sit here. So welcome once again. Thank you so much. I'm going to start with, so you may want to just check your mics and put them in your hand. So, is somebody taking care of the...
Hello.
I mean, I think we are full up for this program, so those of you who are standing can come into the aisles here and into the aisle. There's one chair here. Please feel comfortable. This is a fantastic conversation that's going to follow. So, welcome Pradeep and welcome PJ.
Thank you.
Pradeep, that brings me to my first question for you. Talk a little bit about how you got into loving history, a subject that I hated deeply. Okay, so but how did you get to loving history so much, and why particularly Tamil Nadu temples? How did all this start?
So I studied in a school called The School, which is actually just down the road, and we had a wonderful history teacher called Uma Akka. And there was a whole bunch of days when, in all the, and she would dictate and we had to write down notes, right? And then we had to discuss it. So again and again, one of the big things she said was, temples were the center of art, architecture and culture in the local village. So she really drilled it into us. So this was on one side. Right? So somewhere there was a seed sown that don't look at temples just as religious places. In my class of, I think, 18 to 20 kids, I was the only guy who would go for summer vacations to my grandmother's house in Tirunelveli, right? So here, the facilities there were very primitive. Half the time we didn't have electricity, no TV over there, all very different kind of place, but a lot of love and laughter in the house. And I think every Sunday everybody would get quite tired of us. So there'll be a car that will come and we'll be packed into the car and I'd get this little box of Maggi capsicum, and I still love it. It's a shame they don't make that flavor anymore. But Maggi capsicum noodles, and Party would say, "Hey, go to Vani, vella po." So you have to come in the evening. So I did a lot of places. I mean, kid just went around, saw whatever I could, kind of stuff. Nobody there to explain and all that. And some of them are quite spooky. Those are times when most of the temples had snakes and cobwebs and bats and all that sort of stuff. There's one temple that I went to where it was huge. It's in a town called Tirupurangudi. It's a massive temple, and I remember sitting there, feeling quite lonely and sad for myself because I mean there was nobody else I could talk to. No one my age over there would come with me.
How old are you then?
I must have been 8 years old, 9 years old, 7 to 8 years old. And I felt very lonely about as a kid, feeling quite misunderstood in life and feeling very wretched for myself. And there was on the other side, there were these 5 or 6 kids playing in the temple. They were really having a good time. They were all playing catch and run and that sort of stuff. I don't think my social skills were very well equipped at that age, so I couldn't even go and ask them. But somewhere the contrast was very high for me. That here I was feeling so lonely, so sad, so rejected. And there they were having such a good time. And this was in the same place. So something in me said, Umaka has told us so much about history and temples, and here I am feeling really lonely in the temple, but there is some others who are happy, and they're my age, right? So it just jarred, all these 3 things just jarred and they stayed that way. And then school finished, college, JNU, all of that happened. London, came back many years, some 20 years before. I had gone for a wedding in Pudukkottai, and on the way I had stopped in this place called Thirumayam. And I said, okay, old times I visited temples, let's do it again. I haven't visited temples at all in the intervening period.
So for almost 15 years you haven't been to a temple?
Absolutely. Okay. Not even for religious purposes, nothing had gone. Something about Thirumayam was really fascinating, and it hits everybody when they go there. It's 2 cave temples and a fort on the top. And when you sit on the fort, have people here been to Thirumayam at all? Yeah, so those guys will recognize what I'm saying, right? It is magical. There's something in that place which has some kind of a captivating energy. So that really stayed in my mind, and I said, I wanted to recreate that feeling when I came back to Madras. I asked people, they said, I don't know who know about this, so you just go check. ASI has a library somewhere. So I searched, found out there was a state archaeological survey. I went there and Dr. Marcia Gandhi was there. She said, yeah, of course, Thirumayam is so important. Writing on the wall. I said, writing on the wall, we never read. We never read that. So then she said, no, very important, they gave me a fat book. That had an inscription which was from the 13th century when there was a massive bloody fight between two subsects. And it was so bad that they were breaking temples, throwing idols into the pond, all that sort of stuff. The local king couldn't handle it. A Hoysala king came in from Karnataka. He split the two villages. So he put a wall in the middle. If you belong to this side, you move that side, relocated, property, everything. Today you look at it, those subsects are not there, the wall is not there, the water is all dried up, nothing of that remains. And I said, what is the point? And we're still fighting. India, Pakistan had the same thing, Berlin Wall had the same thing. So I wrote an article about it. And I said, you know, there's really no point in caste wars and things. And if you stop looking at temples as religious monuments, you can actually learn a thing or two about how we solve today's problems.
So where was that published?
This got rejected in the Hindu.
Got rejected?
Yeah. So I called them up. And I said, why did you reject it? They said, no, it was just too long. I said, give me that feedback, I'll change it. So I rewrote it and I sent it back and it got published. Then I said, did it work? So Geeta said, you know this worked, but we're very happy that you're looking at temples at this angle. I don't think many people do that. So we'd like you to write more. Then I wrote another series and then I started refining the model. And this is the big thing that I really feel back. This is what helps me get my bliss. Our needs as human beings do not change. Whether they were 5,000 years back, today, or another 5,000 years later, our needs are fundamentally three. One is affiliation, that I want to feel, don't want to feel alone. One is safety, that I want to feel secure. And one is identity as well. I want to be seen as different. Across history, if we look at people and how they fulfill these needs, our strategies will be different. If I want to be friends with somebody, different people may do different things. But the need is the same. If we look at just the needs part, history becomes very relevant for us.
So that's how you connected the dots.
That's how. Then I put Uma Aka's works together, and I said, therefore, my need around temples was this loneliness. So today, when I take people to the same temples, that needs get fulfilled today.
Beautiful. I'll come back to that last point you made, but what I'm picking up a very interesting and relevant point that all of us need to understand in both stories, particularly coming back first to Pradeep's story, is that for 15 years he never went to a temple. But there is something that Umaka did to him in his mind, and there's something that happened on that lonely temple visit in his mind, which came back to him 15 years later. And I think, in a way, many people ask, so how do I follow my bliss? How do I know what is my bliss? And I always reply to them that you don't need to follow it or search for it. It will find you when it's time. You just have to be tuned towards it. And so my next question is more on how did you tune yourself towards it. So if we look at your academic career, you had your your schooling in KFI, and then you do a BA in political science, then you do a master's in international relations, then you go to, that was in JNU, and then you go to London School of Economics and pick up industrial relations and personnel management, HR. Then you work as a HR professional in a recruiting role, then you go into a leadership development role at Infi, and then you work with the McKinsey Leadership Institute, who you're still affiliated with. If you look at it, the career path has been quite vast, right? Now, does this vastness, when you look back, actually indicate that you were searching for something that you wanted to do, something that you believed in doing, or was it part of a plan that you had that you would eventually want to hold a professional degree or a qualification in HR in some way, and then also be steeped in history and heritage and art and culture?
So honestly, I didn't have a big grand plan like my 7-year-old son has, for example. Absolutely not. I was sure though as a kid that I wanted to be the curator in the Madras Museum.
Okay.
So then I said, okay, if that has to be done, somebody told me I have to do the civil services. So when I went to JNU, I figured out I was not the civil services kind of guy at all. Couldn't do that sort of stuff. I would love to say that I had a grand plan to figure out HR. I actually don't. Somebody said this is like a good field to be in, so I applied and I got through. And there was a small bursary award that came with it, which was very helpful also. When I was at LSE, I was very keen on working in London for a couple of years. I couldn't do that. Mom passed away. I wanted to come back. When I came back, I started off with TVS. Then everybody said, no, this is like not the best company for you. I don't think you'll do really well here. You have to go and do your own thing, prove your own life. So I was quite stunned when they said that. Somehow work happened, but when I joined Cognizant and within the second year, I realized that one of my big needs was the need to contribute to someone else. And that wasn't really happening through recruitment. So sometime by then I figured out that learning and development was what I wanted to be in.
Okay.
So when that got fixed with Infi, then I think I was pretty clear about what I wanted. The big change, actually, the day that I moved and took this big step of going part-time was, I'd been for a McKinsey program. In fact, it's the firm, I'm very, very grateful for McKinsey for what it's allowed me to do. There was a program there where we had to kind of pretend our own 80th birthday party. And there were 4 people I put up, and the firm actually didn't figure on that. So I went and spoke to the people that I worked with, and I said, hey, I seem to be wanting something else but doing something very different. I recognize my need is to contribute, but doing this kind of a lifestyle is just not working for me. So the firm was very open to it. We had a long set of conversations. That's when this part-time thing opened up. And I think it's just worked well. It's worked very well.
Beautiful. I think there's a very, very important learning there. The 80th birthday plan, party, right? The 80th birthday party. I often say that, if we really want to figure out what we want to do in life, can you sit down and write your obituary? Can you sit down and write your obituary? Can you write down how do you want to be remembered as doing what? And I think the rest of it will fall in place. So the point you made that you didn't have a grand plan, right? And things just organically happened, and then the moment came in the McKinsey Institute where you had to take that call, right? I'll come back to your call, but did you want to add something quickly?
I just wanted to say that it's not just about taking that call. So the first year of doing this part-time and thing.
Can we come back to that?
Yeah, we can come back.
Because I want that to be more elaborate, because what he's going to talk about and what I'm going to come back and ask him is very, very critical to most of us in our careers. How do you take a decision to give up a well-paying, if I may say, a well-paying, established career path and say, I'm going to go part-time, I'm going to go do something else? How do you take that decision? And that's a very important thing, so we'll park that question. So, when you take a decision to quit a steady pay stream and a steady career path, because it's not only about money, it's also about, like, somebody as smart as you could have been heading McKinsey's businesses in Asia, could have been a global CEO in some time. How does that kind of choice get taken to be clear that so much is not going to come in every month, and I'm going to do these things to make things happen? What kind of conversations happened with your wife, with your family, within yourself? Can you talk a little bit about your private thoughts?
So when I decided to do this, logically my mind worked out everything fairly well. I said, okay, I'd really like to head L&D somewhere, but that's not the kind of job that's available in Madras. I have to move to Bangalore, Bombay or Delhi. Don't really want to do that. Quality of life here is far better than what I can get over there. And the firm was very generous. They'd given me a little cushion. They said first couple of months, there'll be so much of business that comes from the firm. But that wasn't enough for my own, what I had said is my need for security in terms of financial security. The first 6 months were actually freakily scary. Looking back at it, I had like anxiety attacks.
How long ago was this decision?
Jan last year.
So you're just a year into this?
Yeah,
little over a year.
Yeah, a little over a year.
Okay.
So the first 3-4 months was really scary because I'd have anxiety attacks. I'll wake up in the night and say, shit, did I really do the right thing? Maybe I shouldn't have done it. I'm not. And my whole thing was, I submit an independent proposal today, tomorrow the client should call, day after tomorrow we should start. This is I went in, right? And it just doesn't work that way. People who I thought will give me work, no idea, nothing came. Somebody from suddenly out of the blue said, okay, you want to do this for us. We had some rate negotiations, all sorts of stuff. But the most important thing was, things weren't happening as fast as I wanted them to happen, right? And that really unsettled me a lot. It really, really unsettled me. Especially the worst time was after lunch, right? I would be sitting all alone in the room, I'd be getting on these mails, calls, whatever. nothing would move as fast as I wanted it to move. Very, very scary period. So I did, two things happened at that time. At some point in time, what I'm preaching was one question that I asked. The second one that I said was, every day for half an hour in the morning I do a puja, and I tell myself, and I tell the sun god that, hey, you're the source of all the strength. You come in to me as a source of strength. You know what I'm talking about, right? Gayatri mantra. So then I'm investing half an hour every day in the morning. Am I actually practicing that? And then I said, if I have to practice that and feel it within me, what do I need to do differently? It was also a time that I was reading a book which said, the only person who's been with us throughout our lives, not your parents, not your children, not your spouse, not your friends, colleagues, is your body. And how much am I able to tap into the wisdom of my body? This was like a big line for me. So one of those days in the morning when I was doing this Gayatri mantra, I also sat and meditated on the body itself. It sounds like I'm promoting that book, but honestly this is the truth. And I kept asking myself, why am I getting these panic attacks? Right? And then there was some other part of my body within the stomach which actually came out and said the questions that you should ask is, when are you getting it? So I asked myself, when am I getting it? Then this lunchtime thing came on. And then it said, it was like literally my own body talking to myself. And there's another part of my stomach which said, but the sun is all the source of energy. So from that day onwards, just after lunch, I would go sit next to the fish pond and feed the fish. It was like direct sun on my head and my anxiety just vanished. It just vanished completely. So I recognized that if I really, this is where I said, right? I mean, it's not about, we get cues of where the bliss comes, but we need to be very aware of picking up that cue. And this was the cue that I was able to pick up. So the minute it struck into my mind and said, yeah, it's my expectation that I want the proposal to move in 2 days, but it's the client may think it's important, but it's not urgent for them, then it's a very different argument. So persistence happened. I'd call up a couple of people. In fact, one of the tough clients that I had was send a proposal. He said, listen, we can't do it now, but I'm impressed with the way you've captured my needs. And actually his wife is here in the audience somewhere. It was a huge breakthrough because here was somebody who was really senior, who's saying that I can't engage you right now. Eventually it'll happen, but at least I'm impressed with what you've said. So there was a lot of confidence that came up. And then one or two, yeah, there were some which worked, some of them which didn't work. But a group that stood with me was, way back in Italy, I decided that for me to move to my next level, I need to have an independent private board of directors. So I now have a group of 4 or 6 people. I meet them once every 6 months. Most of them are chairman, managing director kind of people. We don't talk about work. Even if I'm serving them, we don't talk about work. It's a pure conversation about what are my needs, what are my fears, what am I going through, how can you from your experience help me? And I had a couple of those conversations with at least 4 of them, and that network, plus within McKinsey we have a facilitators network. With them and this body practice and really looking at the Gayatri from within myself, I think that really saw me through. Just these 3 things.
I think I'll sum up those 3 things as honest conversations. I think these are honest conversations and I can relate to them totally. Many of us fail to have this honest conversation because the easiest thing to do is to say that this paycheck is important to me and this paycheck is coming apram pathikala. But this apram pathikala is a postponement not just of a career decision, but if it is a postponement of your inner joy, then seriously time is running out. I'll tell you, I have my honest conversations in my spells of mauna every day, and most of my mauna is also at the time when I'm writing. And I have my honest conversations with Vani, and we share a lot. And let me tell you that in the last 10 years that we've been bankrupt, without work, without money, we've had a spell in 2007 for 12 months when we went without income. But we were getting a lot of cash by way of borrowings, which actually led to a bankruptcy. And then between 2012 June and 2014 December, for 30 months, we went without a single rupee in income. And we had this mountain of debt on us, and there was no money to run the family. Every gadget at home broke. And yet, we between the two times, 2007 and that 30-month spell between 2012 and 2014 December, there was a marked difference. There was a lot of pain, but there was a lot of suffering back then. There was no suffering. And when I looked back in my spells of Mauna and my honest conversations with Vani, I discovered that we were able to be non-suffering because we were doing other things that were giving us phenomenal amount of joy. And so there are no easy ways to decide this is the right way, or this way works for Pradeep, this way works for Avis, this way works for PJ. I think we all have to have those honest conversations. And we got to figure out what's more valuable to us in our living time. Because this living time is finite. It's every minute we are ticking away towards our death. So this is finite. And in this living time, how much can we actually call time that we have enjoyed, that we have loved? That is the question that should be uppermost. And that will help you have those honest conversations and make those decisions. Thank you for walking us through your perspective. I have one question, suddenly it just came out. You're somewhere in many of your talks, and at least in a couple of your writings I've seen, your reference to happiness and the way to be happy. For me and Vani, our whole life now revolves around this purpose of inspiring happiness. So I wanted to just hear your views on what do you think is your idea of happiness?
I've actually changed my thoughts a little bit after I wrote that article, to be honest.
No, that's okay.
Which is, I think, a good thing. It means it happened now and not many, many decades down the line. I'm more and more looking at how can I take everything that comes up just for what it is and then move on. I don't know if you call it equanimity or whatever the fancy word is. But this is what, and all the time I'm talking to my internal board of directors, or with my clients, or with people on the heritage tours that I do, whatever it is, right? And I'm finding everybody has gone through things that we've all gone through, right? Tough times, and we've come out of those tough times. And this whole, how can I be resilient, is a question that I have to keep asking myself. And I think that question is what leads to happiness more than anything else. To say that, yeah, I mean, this is going to happen, how can I move on? And I actually, every year, in the beginning of the year, in the last 2-3 years, I've picked a poem that is important for me for the remaining part of the year. And this year's poem is a poem by Abhaya, and it says, it's very difficult to be born, it's very rare to be born. I can't remember the name of the, no. So the verse is that solitude is great, even greater than that is contemplation of God. Even greater than that is spending time with the wise people. But greatest of all that gives us happiness is spending time, not just when you're awake, but even when you're dreaming about wise people and serving them. And I find that this wisdom is there with everybody. I just need to figure out what that wisdom that people have. That's one. And the other poem that I'm now increasingly living by is a Sanskrit Subhashita, which is Chitte Prasannam Bhuvanam Prasannam, Chitte Vishannam Bhuvanam Vishannam, Ato Vilasho Yadite Sukesya, Chitte Prasade Tatamam Yatasya. So if I'm happy, then the world seems happy. If I'm vicious, then the world also seems vicious. So I'm not here to change the world, I'm here to change myself.
Beautiful.
And the choice of the word is very important. It's not manasa, it's chitta, which is consciousness, which pervades the entire body. So, in fact, daily if I ask myself, I'm saying this every day, am I following it? I think the body figures out to quickly tell me whether I'm authentic or not.
Beautiful. I think that word authentic also we should carry away. I mean, authentic is a far more powerful word than just honesty. And I like the way you read out that Subhashita and shared with us your view, the translation of that. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add there, going back to the person without whom we won't be doing the dispatches, which is Joseph Campbell himself. He said he discovered his own bliss by leaning on the Sanskrit language and the concept of Satchitananda. And he said Sat, the being, Chit, the consciousness, and Ananda, rapture. And he's confessed that he didn't know what his being was, whether it was proper or improper or what. He didn't know how his consciousness was relating. but he definitely knew what made him rapturous. So he said, I first leaned towards my rapture, my sense of bliss, and then I guess the being and the consciousness took care. And I think that's a nice way to proceed.
Actually, this is for Pradeep. You were saying something like the human needs are same 5,000 years before, now and in the future. Can you link that up to how temples fulfill those needs? Because I think you didn't complete that part of it. Vasavi, why you think that currently anything else is fulfilling the same thing, or we still have to go to temples? Something related to both these connections.
No, I'll talk about how I've applied those needs to myself. I think that's more relevant. So when I went part-time, right, one of this big, and I also recognize one of the big areas as anxiety is coming from is, am I making enough money? So I actually sat down and said, what is enough money for me? Fortunately, my spouse also lives a fairly frugal life. I think between the two, if there's somebody who spends a lot, it's more me than her. I sat with an investment consultant and actually said, what are my biggest financial needs? And it turned out that they weren't really big ones at all. So that was one calculation that I did. So this whole anxiety of am I making enough money was actually over here. It wasn't in the bank books, number one. And there were, of course, some other values, right? I don't want to live with my ancestral income. It has to be my own money. These 2-3 things are the biggest investments that I want for my future. Whatever it was, but just putting it down in paper made it very clear. So a lot of my need for security was completely met. I also realized that increasingly, at the end of many programs, people come back and say, you did really well, we loved what you did, you're so knowledgeable, you're so clever. And I was increasingly feeling that it wasn't making me feel, something here made me feel good, but there was a lot of pain over here. It wasn't getting sorted out. So the old Pradeep would have gone and told Avis, don't call anybody else, call only me, others are not good, I want to hog the limelight, right? So from this kind of a Pradeep, today I'm actually people who are coming to me and saying, can you do a talk here next year? I said, no, I want to do it with somebody else. Because I recognize that my need for companionship and affiliation with other people was what was driving me to do these kind of things. And every time I did something on my own, it helped my need for identity. I felt, yeah, good, I know something, and people are telling me that I know something, but I felt very hollow in my heart because that need for affiliation wasn't happening. That has actually changed. So doing these tours today, taking people back to those same temples, enjoying it in a way that they find it interesting, this whole concept of how can I get other people to see and enjoy this the way I did it? So rather put them first rather than me first. That has really changed it. So that's how I've applied needs to my own life. And what also helps is at the end of every year, for the last 4 years, I've written a letter to myself. I've said, what are the needs in the last year that I have achieved? What have I not achieved? Which are broken relationships that I've mended? Which are broken relationships that I've broken for the first time in this year? What have I really achieved as a legacy for this year? What is my legacy for the next year? So first year it was like a 5-page essay. Now it's become a 1-page bullet pointing, but it still helps me stay in track.
Very nice, very nice. Good question, very good answer. I just want to add there, I think this sense of authenticity that Pradeep is talking about, it grows more when you are going through an immersive experience. When we were struggling with our business, just as we are struggling now, and we are not getting the kind of business that we need for making the income coming to the family, let alone repay our debt, we flipped the paradigm and we said, how can we be useful rather than just trying to be successful? And I think Bliss is a very great enabler of higher purpose and being useful for the good of other people. And that's what helped me write my book, that's what helps me curate these programs, that's what keeps us going day by day. So I totally relate to what you're saying, Pradeep. Wonderful. Who had the third question? Yes, sir, Venkatesh. Yeah, you need to turn on. Can I have the next questioner raise their hand? Yes. Okay, one there. And who's that there? Yes, okay. So we'll stay with those 2 questions for now, for want of time, yeah?
You have married your passion with your profession. You took, I know you took people on walks, Pradeep Chakravarthy. Where you taught people, where you told people how simple it is to set leadership lessons. Can you elaborate more on those parts, that part of it?
So the linkage between your leadership development career of yours with the historical perspective of your passion. How have you been able to integrate that in your workshops?
Right. So I've been able to integrate it very well now. In fact, this year, something that I'm really happy about is really about that. It happened quite by chance. Now for what, 20 years I've been studying temple inscriptions, right? Every inscription is about problems that people face and how they sorted it out. Needs that were different, how they were sorted out. Every inscription is about that. I've been now able to see it from 100 feet away, and I see a pattern, but I was not able to put a finger to what that pattern is. I'm seeing a model, but I'm not able to put my finger on what the model is. Devdutt Patnaik has been writing on mythology for like ages, and of course he's like a super celebrity that everybody knows. He's been having a model for a long time. He's found the proof in mythology. He didn't find it in practice. So for a long time we've been this whole, hey, you should come and do a temple trip with me, hey, we should have a conversation. Some 7 years we've been having this conversation. It finally hit this time, and I took him to the same temple that I saw as a lonely kid. And it's in that temple that we found out that his model, I had the proof, and my model, he actually had. So we came together very quickly, and the genesis of this is the old days, the inscriptions and the way they sorted out conflicts in teams, the way they sorted out administration was all based on philosophy. And all of philosophy is based on needs. So the needs are about, if you are it's about you are different, I am different, we will always be different. We may come from the same family, same experiences, but we will be different. And I need to recognize that difference. Number two, but despite those differences, if we come together, then what we create together is far more eternal and far more universal. And the third is, if we need to create that, I need to give you something first before I expect you to give me something. So these are the three. In all my heritage walks, if you see, they keep coming back to these three needs and how we can actually look at it in practice. So for me, it's been, my school has been a very powerful influence. Three women have been very powerful influence. One is my grandmother, one is one of my father's sisters, and my own mother. So one thing that have all dimmed into my psyche as a kid was, you have far more advantages than many other children of your age. You need to be doing something different. And there were so many people in your family who've had a lot of adversity, who've triumphed and made successful. What are you going to do differently when you don't have these adversities? So for me, the biggest driver of doing this, when I see many others who are far more experienced as me, is this pressure to have my own identity for myself. So that's been my motivation.
I'll just add here, I think as long as we are not succumbing to the social definitions of success and failure, we are doing great. And therefore a certain amount of fearlessness needs to come in when you're dealing with society. Okay, yes, Pradeep, your question.
So, what percentage of temple inscriptions in Tamil Nadu have anything to do with mythology or religion?
Zero.
Correct.
Ramesh, please come forward. Ramesh. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand to Ramesh. Ramesh is special because he has not missed a single edition of Bliss Catchers. Wow. 23 editions on the trot, including this one. In fact, I was wondering.
Well done.
Thank you. Can I have Ashwin here? Is Ashwin here? Yeah. Now let me come to what I picked up from the two gentlemen sitting here with me. Again, my favorite poet, Gita Manichandar, will be blissful now. Jalaluddin Rumi, the 13th century Persian poet, he said that, why are you drinking, why are you quaffing your thirst from 100 fountains? When one of them dries up, or one of them yields less, your pleasure is diminished. Instead, look at the fountain within you and see what is gushing from within you. Quench your thirst from within you, and then you will not need to steal water from any of the fountains outside you. And I think both these gentlemen, the two Pradeeps, are living embodiments of that fountain that's gushing from within them. It's a beautiful evening that we've had with you, Pradeep, PJ and Pradeep. Thank you so much. May I now invite Parandaman to please give away what we have, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who've been here at Bliss Catchers for the last 2 seasons, we are making a new beginning. We're giving away I Am a Bliss Catcher trophy this time. So Parandaman, please come forward. And Pradeep, you can proudly display. And PJ, here's yours. I'm a Bliss Catcher. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful evening, and please do stay in touch with us. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you.